Welcome to the final round of Superlap Scotland for 2020 at Knockhill Racing Circuit. We've got the biggest entry of the year here this weekend, and all the championships are still up for grabs. We've got 7 of the big pro cars all going head to head on track. It's sure to be amazing. Let's go and catch up with some of the action. Welcome to Superlap Scotland for the final of our 2020 series here. When it looked like we weren't going to have a championship at all, we've managed to condense it from August through to the end of October, and this is our final round. And what a strong entry we have got in rather changeable morning conditions here at Knockhill Racing Circuit. Our biggest ever category of pro cars, a full 7 cars competing in the pro class, with a strong showing all the way down. So let's have a look at qualifying for groups number 1 and 2. As I said, some tricky track conditions, but as the cars make their way out in the morning, they've been here before, so they know what it's all about. It's worthwhile picking up some notable people who we're going to talk about. The welcome return of Stevie McNabb in car 54, sharing his Mini with Human Lie in car 888. That little Mini that would possibly slot into B class, but great seeing those guys back in Superlap Scotland. We've had a lot of fun with McNabb over the years, and yeah, these new guys who are very quick to Superlap Scotland find out just how fast McNabb can possibly be, as Fraser Huntley has a huge moment up the back straight, and David Long, well, David's first time back out this year in the Caterham, the former King of the Hill car, seeing just how slippery it was coming up from the hairpin there. That looked like Alex Fulton. It was Alex Fulton through the camera shot there into the gravel at the exit of McIntyre's. In fact, he goes through the Butcher's gravel trap as well. He drives up the hill and he's going to rejoin at the chicane. A long off-road moment for Alex Fulton there, but just great to see him on track. He's had more mechanical issues pre-event than anybody else has ever had throughout the course of the 2020, 2019 and 2020 season. Former King of the Hill Martin Brown slithers his car round, and we go on board with the fastest man in Class G, Adam Morrison. This could be quite interesting as he goes in towards McIntyre's. Is he sliding? He's sliding, he catches it. Lovely bit of opposite lock, and a little bit of hands throwing about the inside of the car there, but really struggling for grip in this little Mini Cooper as he goes up the back straight into Clark's as well. Look at that, huge amounts of oversteer as he turns into the corner, so corner entry kind of compromising that little Mini. But Adam, fastest in G class, and he's not the only person out there struggling for grip. Here we have the 2 Adams boys coming down there, and look at Tom Lockhart's style as he goes through Clark, chased by internet sensation Andy Napier. We'll cover that later on. Rab Jobson, and doing a great job in the Renault Megane. Great to see Rab Jobson back with us here in the Racing Awareness Scotland car, which he shares with Alex Milne at certain events. But as I said, it's got wet. Well, it's not got wetter, it's staying wet, and it's quite tricky. It's quite cold out there. So a lot of people were struggling or are struggling for grip, and Robbie Wiper as well, one of them. Now that is a bit of a shock. That's something we don't normally see Robbie Wiper doing. Entrance to Clark's, turning oversteer, back into the gravel on the inside. No harm, no foul. Robbie will get back on track and away from there as the flame-spitting Caterham of David Long goes through Duffus Dip. Fiona Kindness was back in the Mitsubishi, in the Subaru. Why Fiona was ever in a Mitsubishi actually, but that was the car which we saw husband Adam blow up at the previous Superlap Scotland. Thankfully that car back in one piece. And Andy Forrest was also back with us in his Westfield, what do we call it, Westfield Plus turbocharged car now. Andy Forrest as Richard Reid has a big moment at the exit chicane, and into the gravel he goes as Tony McLeod comes through. Good grief, that was all getting just a little bit too close for comfort there. Andy Napier comes through as well, and unfortunately Richard unable to move from there, and that brings out the red flags. Quick recovery job for the Knockhill recovery team, and that should be easy enough dealt with. A little bit of sweeping and we'll get the cars back on track. Removed the front bumper as well, so you can see the intercooler radiator at the front of the car there. Fastest in E-Class, Fraser McNeil, 101.3 in qualifying, and this car seems to have got quicker and quicker throughout the course of the year. Not just the car, the driver combination as well. He really is getting the hang of this, and also stepping up into a little bit of racing as well. He's doing the mod sports race, so keep your eyes out on him, see if he gets on. Matty Lawson with those lovely, lovely Valentino Rossi-esque wheels, which we've seen him have for so long. And well, that was Jonathan Adam. Alex Adams out there as well, and that's one of the Osbornes. That looked like Michael Osborne, I'm going to say junior, because there was no duct tape on the front of it. Hang on, this is senior. The front of that car, hastily rebuilt after a big accident at the previous round when Michael Osborne Senior put the car halfway up the back straight into the tyre wall. And a lot of damage into that car, but a great job by the Osbornes to get that car fixed. As off goes Michael Imrie. Now that happened going through the left-hander for Imrie, and he's going to paddle that car back through the gravel trap and get himself back on track. One of the Japcom cars in a French car. I'm pretty sure that will change for 2021. But once again, more drivers out there struggling for all sorts of problems and reasons. And John-Luc Cartwright was back, JLC, in his lovely little Lotus. Struggling for a grip again. Oh, Josh Hislop, wow. Savage snap of oversteer through the corner. And whoa, somebody else off as well. Andy Napier into the Recticel. So this qualifying highlights kind of more like a Car Wars video or Havoc. Josh Hislop there, first of all, going off at the top of Duffus, and Andy Napier brings out the red flag as he goes off at, yes, there he is there, McIntyre's explaining to Big John Kennedy exactly what went wrong, but John Kennedy watched the whole accident, I'd be sure of that. So Napier goes back on a tow rope, and he needs to get that fixed. So here we go, back on track, Human Lie in car 888, and we know that's human because the 54's crossed out, and that would be Stevie McNabb if the 888 was crossed out. But look at the style of Michael Osborne Jr. To hold my breath there, thankfully made it through. Big jump over the sausage curb at McIntyre's again, and that's a man who's come from track days, so doing great stuff. As Eric Holmes boosts out of the hairpin, you can tell that car's running maximum boost there. Smoke coming out the exhaust as we go on board with Francis Simpson, and this is Francis getting it all horribly wrong, and off he goes up the back straight. Can he hold it? Well, the wing mirror, the rear view mirror's almost had enough. It's starting to come loose with that one as he goes fastest in Class C though, and a brave man through Leslie's there. We could hear the throttle there. And let's just listen to this as he goes down through Butchers over the black circle chicane. Up the back straight he goes. Good grip from that car when everybody else seems to be struggling. But I've got to say, a lot of work getting done into that steering wheel to try and coax the car through the corner as he now heads towards the hairpin. Little Honda sounding great in the background as Andy Clotworthy in his Subaru. Andy looking good for a championship this year. But fastest man in Class B was Robbie Wiper, 57.290 as he has a little correction leaving the hairpin. Up the main straight comes Wiper with the wipers on inside the car as well. And Robbie doing a cracking job here, and he's been brilliant all year, apart from one little bit of bad luck when a spark plug went down on the car. And effectively, that will cost him the championship if everything plays out for Clotworthy. And again, he just controls that oversteering moment on the way into Clark Corner there. You see Wiper working really hard behind the steering wheel. Great onboard footage here as we now jump to Donny McLeod, Synergy Cycles. If you need a bike and you're in the Perth Octoraders area, why not go and visit Donny? Fastest in Class A, Gordon Duncan, 58.445 in his Radical. Another seasoned pro when it comes to track days. But this Gordon's first attempt into Superlap Scotland, and by all accounts, loving it. Great to see him here, and we'll hopefully have Gordon back next year. And along with this man as well, a guest, Simon Bainbridge. Now that is something just a little bit different. That car is incredibly fast, and Simon is a British Hills and Sprints man. That's what he does. That is a chrono, that car. And it's something, when you get close to it, just a little bit special. But the fastest in the pro class qualifying, Chris Cherry. Chris Cherry with a 54.5. Chris has been away doing time attack. We've missed him for a year or so, but back in action in his Mitsubishi, and it's just got faster and faster, as has Chris. And he took qualifying pro honours, and it was great to see him pass as he goes past his sponsor sign at the hairpin there, the Cherry Joinery sign, up the main straight. Chris Cherry, 54.5 second lap. So Human Lie, Fraser McNeil, Rob Johnson and Adam Morrison fastest in their classes, D, E, F and G. Pro class was Cherry, Gordon Duncan in A class, Robbie Wiper in B, and Francis Simpson took C class honours. Now it's time for the finals, the runoffs. The final Super Lap Scotland runoffs for 2020, and on track first of all, Jean-Luc Cartwright and his Lotus Elise, a 111.3 for JLC. Great to see him back on track in the number 2 car. That is very much a road car, and we should hopefully have him back for 2021 as well. Getting his eye back in, Jean-Luc Cartwright, great to have him back on track. Just ahead of him, car 51, Colin Dorward. He's got a very special name for this car, a little nickname. Maybe ask him the next time you see him. The Suzuki Swift did a 108.5. The car which we normally see Jenny in. Jenny might be back at some point next year, we're told. But Colin Dorward out there having fun in that car. 6th place for him. 5th place was Ian Biaggi, and Ian was technically a guest though. But he did come home in that little Mini, the Biaggi Special Rallycross car. 108.0 for him. As Ian Biaggi goes through Clark Corner, great having him back up from Dumfries. Another guest was Alex Adams in a Renault Clio. His brother Johnny's out there, so Alex decided he wanted to get involved as well. A 107.6, his fastest lap in the Love Street Coachworks Renault Clio. Very, very tidy little car. Former rallyman trying his hand at this Super Lap Scotland. Mark Geraghty was 3rd overall. Mark Geraghty, car 67 in the Mini Cooper, a 107.4 for Gez in the Bond Throne Security Services Mini, the car which Mark races in the Mini Championship. Great to have him here competing in Super Lap. 3rd place in Class G for him. Just ahead of him, the returning Josh Hislop, a 106.4. Great having Josh Hislop back, as we saw him having that quite big off in the morning. No damage to the car for him. And this was the man who took the Class G honours, Adam Morrison, a 105.9, half a second up from Hislop, and let's ride on board with Adam over the top of Duffus. Down through Leslie's, full commitment on the throttle there, brake, try and get it turned in, watch for the oversteer. Yeah, he's dialed that out of the car now, hasn't he? As he comes down through Butchers, should be flat. Ooh, bit of a lift as he got to the bottom of it, and then through the chicane. Nice and smooth on the steering wheel, contrast to what we saw with some cars earlier on. Braking for Clark Corner, you want to try and coax it in here. He's just catching a little bit of a slide there as he gets back through towards the apex. But Morrison on a good lap heading towards the hairpin, and fabulous to see onboard footage. Hits the brakes, down the gears, 3rd gear, into 2nd gear, turns the car in, starts to pick up an early throttle. Not too early, doesn't want a wheel spin, but that all important 2nd to 3rd gear change here. Gets it, perfect. Up towards the line he goes. Fastest in G-Class, Adam Morrison. Into Class F, the final runoff. Here comes Johnny Adam, and there goes Johnny Adams down Duffus Dip onto the grass, and that was his run done. Unfortunately, finding the gravel trap, never the best thing to do, and Class F had a whole heap of problems. Craig Wallace also retiring at the chicane, the Black Circle chicane proving quite tricky for certain people today. And then we got Sean Hislop. Sean Hislop, the winner last time out in Super Lap Scotland in F class, over the top of Duffus, attacked Leslie's with huge amounts of speed and gusto, and off he goes into the gravel. Very lucky not to turn that car upside down there, as we see him lose the back end, jumps on the brake pedal once he's basically lost the car into the gravel, and Sean Hislop joins Craig Wallace and Johnny Adam, not scoring or not classifying in F class. Simon McWilliam did though, great to have him back in his Renault Clio 172. McWilliam 117.3 because of that, into the hairpin. Looked like he pulled on the handbrake, he didn't, just lost that one on the brakes on the way in. Unhappy Simon, he very much was, because he was on a good lap up until that point. Stuart McCracken also finding a very slippery Black Circle chicane in his Triumph TR8, a 115 flat. The grass hanging off the back of the car really showed how his Super Lap final had gone. Front and back, congratulations Stuart. We'll see him back for 2021, just struggling a little bit with all that TR8 power and the damp conditions. 392 Phil Taylor, Renault Clio, comes home in 7th place. 108.9 for Phil Taylor in the Taylor joinery car. Through the area where we saw Sean Hislop going off, and thankfully Phil getting past his bogey corner as well. We've seen him have a couple of shunts at the past at McIntyre's, and on his way down through Butchers back over the chicane, and he was happy to continue. 6th place was Alex Fulton in his MR2, a 107.2, and as I said in qualifying, just a pleasure to see the man on track with the car running and no real problems. Yes, a little bit down on power, but he's on track, he's in SLS, and the paddock were happy to see Alex back. In 5th place with David Joyce, another Renault Clio, a 105-point spin at McIntyre's. Yeah, tricky one for Dave there, but 105.4 was what his final time would come back to be. And Dave Joyce, out of luck on that one there as he went through McIntyre's. Another new addition to Superlap Scotland though, and watch out for him in 2021. He's already got fighting talk going. As we jump on board with Tom Lockhart, who finished 4th overall, 716. Hang on guys. Oh, we've got a yellow flag there as well, so that means a yellow flag pops out, so Lockhart could possibly get a rerun if he wanted with that one. And there's also a car on the exit the corner in trouble, but Lockhart flying on this lap as he comes down and goes through Butchers up the back straight towards Clark Corner as well. This is where we saw him sliding into view earlier on. Not sliding into view that time was Lockhart. That is Michael Emery though. Emery come away in 3rd place after his often qualifying. He managed to get it together and he beat Tom Lockhart onto the last step of the podium by only 3 and a bit tenths of a second. So Lockhart in 4th, Emery in 3rd. Robert Jobson, car 42, and he's Renault Megane. A 103 flat for Rob Jobson. And look at that commitment as he goes over the top of Duffus and into Leslie's. The car dancing around on a knife edge. Through he comes. Brilliant to see Rab really pushing the Renault Megane on, because this is a Clio class. And to get anybody else going pretty well in this class is good if you're not in a Clio. Jobson, 103 flat, pushing it with every little bit of ounce of pressure that he can put through that throttle pedal as he comes in towards the hairpin. Down the gears he went. The racing awareness car, which I do say he and Alex Milne have shared in the past. Alex in his own car this weekend. But Jobson, cracking job, cracking effort. And the fastest guest class car in F was Alan Kirkcaldy. Alan, a seasoned pro race driver, whether it's in single seaters, whether it's in saloon cars and also rallying, and including stock cars. Alan Kirkcaldy is fast in everything, and he did a 102.9, a great addition to Superlap Scotland. That is the front Andy Napier's car, as Napier turns into Duffus Dip. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an internet sensation at work. Off he goes, manages to take the escape route, bounces across the gravel and the grass, bang onto 2 wheels, lands it. Unfortunately for Andy Napier, his lap was a 111.1, but that effectively has gone viral on Facebook on Superlap Scotland. Andy Napier, not what he would want to go viral for, kicks up the grass, kicks up the car into 2 wheels again in the replay, and oh, what that could have been. Thankfully, no real damage to the car, didn't even hit the tyre wall. Andy uses all his skill just to steer away from it at the very last minute. Richard Reid, come home in 8th place in E-Class. Lights ablaze for Richard Reid in his Honda Civic Type R. A 108.3 second lap. Brand new to Superlap Scotland. Coming at the last minute just before the entries closed. A little bit of understeer next at the hairpin there, but enjoyed his day thoroughly. And we'll see him back for 2021 as well. Road car, proper road car. Henry Simmons drives his car to and from Superlap Scotland. His Renault Megane, a 106.5, 7th fastest in E-Class. Dave Larg, car 84, P6, Honda Civic, 105.2. Great addition to Superlap Scotland again. That Honda Civic, kind of lurid pink, can we say that? And Sean Martin, struggling all weekend, has got to say, in these damp conditions. Struggled through Leslie's there and managed to keep the car on the track, but just doesn't have the grip or the pace. The man who's been setting the pace all year, 5th place for him. Neil Campbell chased him home. In fact, didn't just chase him home, Neil Campbell in front of him. 4th place for the man in his Honda Civic Type R. 814, a 103.8 second lap for Neil. He's threatening big things for 2021. Will that come? Let's see. Let's keep our eyes peeled on his social media. On to the podium steps. 3rd place, 144, Donny McLeod in his Renault Clio. Donny come up from Class F, took all the weight of the car and wanted to have a shot at some records in Class E. Unfortunately, the weather conditions just didn't fall for him. A 102.7 for Donny McLeod. Still pretty fast and on the pace. Car 34, Robert Wilkie, the Strathern Pest Control series sponsor. We've got to add that in. You'll see his name on the bottom of the banner at the page. Robert Wilkie, his first super lap this year, and he puts it P2. Kudos to him, a 102 flat. We ride on board with the fastest E-Class man, Fraser McNeil. The Japcom Honda was singing all the way around the lap, a 101.705, only 2 tenths faster than Robert Wilkie, but 2/10 faster puts him P1. Gently coaxes the car through Clark Corner there and then heads towards the hairpin. Again, more improvements for this car over the winter, we're told, and as I said earlier on, he is now a circuit racer as well, dipping his toe into the Super Lap race series in the mod sports. Fastest in E-Class was Fraser McNeil, car number 47. D-Class finals, Martin Brown first on track, car 88, the former king of the hill. Martin did a 102.7. He showed me his tyres after the final and they were effectively slick tyres, trying to get as much running as he could out of the tyres throughout the year. Goodness knows how he managed to keep it on the track. Second place, car 54, Stevie McNabb. A 101.8 for McNabb, unable to get the better of his illustrious team leader, Human Lie. Car 888, the same car, Human Lie, into Duffy's dip here, 101 flat, took the Class D honours by a whole, wait for it, 7/10 of a second. That will probably keep Stevie McNabb awake at night, but look at Human Lie's style coming through McIntyre's there, brilliant drift as he holds the little Mini through there on the power, down Butchers, over the chicane and up the back straight he went. A lot of talk in the paddock between Lie and McNabb to see who would come out on top, and Stevie McNabb did say he was going to win, but Human Lie clearly knows the car that little bit better in these tricky conditions, having driven it more. All they had to do was get through the hairpin, power up to the checker flag and take that 888 car to a 101 flat time. Good stuff for Human Lie. Moving into the C-Class now. Only 3 cars in C-Class, as we saw in D-Class. Michael Osborne Sr., the first on track. Now we've seen this man have his fair share of, shall we say, excitement in Super Lap Scotland in 2020. He just wanted to get round and get the Super Lap under his belt, and he did that. P3 a 102.4. Junior, on the other hand, meant business. He did a 1 minute flat, 0.1 in his Mitsubishi Evo 6, trying his best to beat this man, fastest in C-Class. He's owned C-Class all year, Japcom driver Francis Simpson. And Francis, 59.7, 4/10 of a second faster than Michael Osborne Jr. Ooh, and getting a little bit fruity with the track limits there. Getting away with that one, just skimming bollards as he comes up towards Clark Corner. He had to get a good exit from Clark Corner because he knows the 4-wheel drive car would definitely get a good exit from Clark and the hairpin in these conditions. And as he come out of the hairpin, all they had to do was that good gear changing up the main straight, and Francis Simpson would take Class C honours. The B-Class final, first of all, car 55, rebuilt and back on track, Fiona Kindness. 59.3 for Fee, 1.7 off the fastest time. Slithering her way around the damp patches of Knockhill, and Andy Clockworthy at 59.1 in second place. Andy again just trying to get round, seal up that championship. 1.5 seconds off, and you can hear that thing. You can hear the turbo working up the main straight there. And the fastest man in B-Class once again was Robbie Wiper with a 57.626 lap for Robbie Wiper, on the limit as you would imagine. Robbie told us he's been furloughed for quite a long time since March, so he's put all his focus on the car, almost throws it away going through Butchers, but manages to hold that. And look at this, really laying everything on the line in this one lap that he's got here. He's tried to jump off the track twice now at Butchers and the chicane. He's only got the hairpin to do, and that will give him the Class B honours, and Wiper did manage to get through the hairpin. As we know, 1.5 seconds faster than anybody else in Class B. Congratulations, Robbie Wiper. Into A-Class, well, former King of the Hill, David Long, hasn't been on track this year at all. This is the first he's done, and it's good to have him back, but David said it himself, a little bit rusty. Not a tidy lap for the man who normally is absolutely pinpoint with everything. A 101 for him. And the winner of the A-Class, car 69, Gordon Duncan. Through McIntyre as he comes, 58.042. Coaxes the Radical over these tricky, treacherous, I was going to say kerbs. The kerbs are actually quite grippy. It's the track that seems a little bit slippy for people today. Doesn't that sound great as he leaves Clark's, heads round past our lovely static camera at the embankment of Hislops and into the hairpin. Through you come, up towards the line. Great stuff. 58.0 for Gordon Duncan. And that takes us into the Pro finals. Nev Wood, 7th in Pro Car 10 in his Ariel Atom with a 59.750 lap. Nev, been here a lot, great to see him, and he keeps coming back for more and more fun. In 6th place was Chris Cherry, car 211. And why is he so far down? A boost hose popped off on the warm-up lap. Cherry, fastest in qualifying, loses the boost hose, 58.7, disaster for Chris. Car 79, in 5th place was Eric Holmes in his Mitsubishi Evo, a 58.1 for Eric, and oh, he was on the limit there. Speaking of on the limit, Fraser Huntley, ladies and gentlemen, Nissan Silver 200SX, 57.225. We just want to see that car going round in a straight line, and it's kind of almost happening. Not very well, but Fraser Huntley on the limit everywhere, and you can see this is him on the in lap, and holding it back a little bit clearly when he's on the actual super lap, because that looks good, but it's not fast. Great stuff, Fraser. We've got some drifting coming up next year. We expect to see you on track. As we jump on board with Matty Lawson, car number 98. This will be interesting to see. Look at the camera angles we've got. We've got one looking over his left shoulder, we've got one looking back up at Matty, and then we've got one right on the very front looking over the bonnet. And just look how much action that seat gets. Look how much twisting and the forces that go through the actual seat once it's bolted to the floor. Matty Lawson managing to do a 55.1 second lap in his Mitsubishi Evo. You'll be happy with that one, because that lets Matty take the Pro Class Honours for 2020 at Knockhill. Super fast car, super nice guy as well. Andy Forrest, he's Westfield in Pro Class. We've seen Andy for so many years bring up so many different types of car for us, and every time he enters Super Lap Scotland we always get excited, and it's great to have him here. This Westfield is just a little bit trick. Lovely big turbo in it, some traction control in it, yeah. And Andy Forrest behind the wheel drives it within an inch of its life all the time. In wet conditions on slick tyres, 54.4 second lap for Andy Forrest. Something pretty sensational. As you can see, it's not like your everyday Westfield we see. Andy does put a lot of time and effort into that car at base back home. And the fastest overall, fastest lap of the weekend in fact, Simon Bainbridge, 52.668 seconds in this chrono car. Carbon fibre chassis, and it is a bit of a weapon. Simon, who normally competes in the British Hills and Sprints Championship, decided that he wanted to do something this year, so we got him along for Super Lap Scotland, and just watch this thing go around Knockhill. Up the back straight from the chicane to Clark's, makes that straight look extremely short, as he then comes through Clark Corner and heads round towards the hairpin. Watch the speedometer in the middle here, look how quickly that goes up. And what speed are we going to get before we hit the brakes for the hairpin? Did I see 139? I think I did. Any increase on that, you can send us an email. Through the hairpin come Bainbridge, accelerating up towards the line, and this was a sensational lap, 52.6 seconds, the fastest lap of the weekend as a guest in Pro Class, Simon Bainbridge. So there are your final results. Human Lie, Fraser McNeil, Rab Jobson and Adam Morrison in classes D, E, F and G. The winners on the day for the final Super Lap of 2020. And Andy Forrest, Gordon Duncan, Robbie Wiper and Francis Simpson in Pro, A, B and C. And that brings Super Lap Scotland to an end for 2020. We do hope you've enjoyed our highlight shows. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you very much for being involved if you're a competitor. Our sponsors along the bottom of the screen, well, without you guys, we couldn't do Super Lap Scotland. So thank you once again for being involved, and we look forward to rekindling our partnership in 2021 for a great year of Super Lap. There's been some fabulous driving, there's been some fabulous entertaining driving, as Fraser Huntley shows us here, and Andy Napier has he's also made us go viral, hasn't he, with this moment in his Honda Civic Type R. Thank you very much, guys. We'll look forward to seeing you back in 2021.